Chapter 2. The Wonderful Cave. Once upon a time, there lived a little boy named Luke Brown. He had one big brother named John and a little sister, Prue. His father was a trader in furs. That means he would pay the Indians for them and then sell them. So he was often called away for many weeks at a time, making his rounds of the Indian encampments to buy the pelts. John, who was 15 years old, had to be the man of the family during his father's absence, for Luke was only 8. Not far away from them lived another boy named Matthew, whom Luke called Matt. These boys played together as you boys do today, only they had no toys to play with, just things they could make themselves of wood. One day they wanted to be cavemen, and as one must have a cave for that, they decided to find one. Where our woodshed now stands, they discovered a hollow between some large rocks that had plenty of bushes before them. "This will be a fine cave," cried Luke, "if we can dig it out a little." "Let's do it," answered Matt. "Then we can hide things here." And so the boys started to work. The boys played at this game for 2 or 3 days, and all the dirt they dug out they threw into an old unused well. One day Luke called out to Matt, "I can't dig anymore, there's a wall here." "Then let's make it wider," answered Matt, and Luke agreed. The next afternoon, John, the big brother, came home with a very worried look. "They say, Mother, that the Indians are making trouble again," he told her. "Oh, my son," cried his mother, "and your father so far away. What shall we do?" "Never fear, I'll take care of you, and Luke must help me," said John. "We'll close and bar the heavy blinds each night and we'll be safe enough." But well he knew in his heart that Indians often used firebrands, and that these set many a settler's home on fire. After the evening meal, Luke told John about the cave he and Matt had been making and which was now finished. "Couldn't we all hide there if the Indians came?" he asked. "Why, we could, but they would see us go in, wouldn't they?" laughed John. "Well," said Luke, "I struck a plank when I was digging, and maybe it was part of the foundation of this house. The cave is very close to it." "Well," replied John, "perhaps it was. You go into the cave and knock with a hammer on that wall you came to, and I'll listen down in the cellar and let you know if I can hear it." Out ran Luke as fast as he could go, and once inside the cave he banged with all his might against the wall. John, who had gone down into the cellar, was eagerly awaiting, and to his joy he heard the knocking. The cellar had been boarded up to keep out the dampness, and some day it was intended to line it with stone. John was very glad it hadn't been lined, for Luke was knocking on these very boards. "Hello, Luke!" shouted John. "Why, hello!" cried John. "I can plainly hear you." "I should think you could," laughed John. "There's only a board between us." Soon the boys set to work and pulled down 2 of the boards that Luke had struck in the cave, and when this was done they found they could climb in and out of the cellar with very little trouble. "But what if the Indians came down here? They would know just where we went," objected Luke. "I know it," answered John, "so we'll fool them. How's this? We'll nail the ends of a rope to the cave side of the 2 boards after we climb into the cave. We can pull the boards back into place and hold them there with the rope." "They'd never know how we got out," said Luke, dancing about with joy. Just then, Mother came down the ladder into the cellar to hear what all the talk was about. "Why, it's wonderful, boys," she said when they had told her all about it. "But we ought to put some food into the cave so we could stay there several days, if need be, until the Indians would leave." "I'll take some things out tomorrow morning," said Luke. "Blankets and some things to eat. Why not tonight? Laughed John. I'm going to fix up these boards tonight. All right, called Luke over his shoulder as he bounded up the ladder. Never put off until tomorrow what you can do today, he sang at the top of his voice. Both boys worked hard, and before long all was ready. Maybe they won't come tonight, but anyway, we're fixed for them. Mother, said John. The moon rose that night like a huge yellow ball, and Luke, barring fast the great wooden blinds, wished in his heart that he didn't have to shut out the silvery light and the air so sweet and cool. Sometimes I wish there weren't any Indians, he whispered in the darkness.